You're listening to Fathers Handling Business, where fatherhood meets real talk and real solutions. Here are your hosts, Donté Witherspoon and Dwyan Marsh, ready to dive deep into the art and science of parenting. Let's get started and empower the dad in you.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good wherever you are.
Good day.
Good day. What's going up? This is Fathers Handling Business. Appreciate y'all tuning in. I'm your host, Dwyan Marsh, along with my co-host here,
Donté Witherspoon.
Yes, indeed. And today we are going to talk about, drum roll, please.
The talk.
The talk, not to be confused with.
Yes. We're talking about the talk.
We're talking about the talk. We're talking about what they used to call
the birds and the bees.
The birds and the bees. Now, why did they call it the birds and the bees? Do you know that?
You know what? I don't.
I've always heard that, like the birds and the bees, but I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
What does that got to do with anything?
Or maybe pollinating flowers and then producing and then I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird.
We should Google it.
I'm about to ask ChatGPT, why do they call it the birds and the bees? Inquiring minds want to know. Can you set the timer on your phone for the let's do 55 minutes. So the phrase the birds and the bees is a euphemism used to explain the basics of reproduction and human sexuality. Obviously, we know that, but why? Birds are often associated with the idea of new life, i.e., birds building nests and laying eggs. This imagery symbolizes birth and nurturing. Bees are tied to pollination, a process essential for plants to reproduce. The idea of bees pollinating flowers serves as a metaphor for the fertilization process. This phrase has an old-fashioned charm that helps parents introduce the topic of reproduction in a way that feels gentler or less direct. It doesn't delve into human anatomy or the specifics of how reproduction works, but it gives a starting point for the conversation. So basically, the birds and the bees is old. This is pre-internet.
It says it.
Because the kids already know what that is by the time they're 9, 10, because they've seen movies like,
unfortunately, yes.
You know, the dad over here who lets his 9-year-old see like raw-rated movies where they, you know,
Die Hard. What? Yeah, it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah, but he was doing the boopity boop in Die Hard.
I don't remember that.
Of course you don't remember that, but I bet you your kids though.
I always fast forward. Yeah. We fast forward. I'm serious. We fast forward through the
Okay.
Any intimate scenes, we fast forward.
Any intimate scenes. So why are you fast forwarding through the intimate scenes? That's the question.
Because they're inappropriate for children.
It's inappropriate for children, but that's how they got here.
It is how they got here, but they don't need to see that until a certain age. And
what is that certain age?
Until we have
the talk. The talk. Dun dun dun. I gotta grab my coffee. I'm sorry, I'm being very unprofessional in this this recording, but
I got your coffee.
You got my coffee? I appreciate you, brother.
I'm gonna slide out the camera. Oh,
I could have just did it.
Nah, bro.
You know what I'm saying? You messing up the framing.
Go gadget arms.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
That's not even full. The coffee already almost gone.
I don't know what that means. I still gotta drink it. It's early in the morning. So, all right. So is it important?
Why is it important, right?
Why is it important? I mean, there's a lot of reasons why it's important, but is it important that the father have the talk? Or is it important because we are the pollinators to, you know, speak in the birds and the bees terms? We are the givers of the seed.
That is true.
We pollinate the egg. I don't think that that's the right terminology, but you get what I'm saying. So is it important that the father does this?
I would say for certain, it is important for the father to have this conversation with their son.
Okay. And why?
I think it's important for a father to have this conversation with their son because we have, number one, we have the body parts.
This is true.
You know what I'm saying? We have the body parts. And when your son gets to a certain age to where their hormones are changing, and they're starting to get these different feelings in certain places, and they're wondering why and how and what happens and all that stuff. We as fathers, as men, can have an accurate conversation with them. Not to say that women don't know about the male anatomy. There are plenty of doctors, women doctors who do it, and women just in general. But we have the experience, I should say, that women don't.
Can you expound on that experience in what way? What do you mean experience?
We're men. Like, we're men and we have the body parts and we can explain them better than women can because they don't experience, certain things that we experience.
So what is the accurate age in your opinion? What's the age appropriate to start talking about and introducing and what's the age?
I'm going to say the age will vary based on maturity of your child.
100%.
Yeah. Based on the maturity of your child. I remember having a talk with my son right before going into middle school. I knew he was going to be around older kids. He was leaving one school, going to another. So it's like you leave the school being the top dog and going to another school being the new kid, the freshman, so to speak. And with that comes older kids and more mature conversations and all that stuff. So I wanted to have the talk with him, and it opened up a line of communication for other things too that I didn't even know was on his radar, like drugs. So
drugs. Okay. All right. So what? So you said it was middle school when you first introduced the talk, and so how did it go? Like, what did you say? Like, how did you bring it up? Like, did you use the birds and the bees, or did you use something more 21st century?
Yeah, no, you know what? I was straight up. So here's the lay down the whole scenario for you.
Okay.
We went camping. So in the summer times, we would go camping with like family friends. Shout out to the Wesses. We went camping with one of his best friends who they've been friends since birth, like literally birth, been in the same classroom since birth. And so we went to Carlsbad one summer, and this is the summer before they both went into 6th grade, and had the idea of both of us dads sitting our sons down at night, one night during the camping trip, and having the conversation, the talk, if you will, before we send them off to middle school. And so we just, it can be very awkward in the beginning because it's like, okay, like they don't know why they're there, why they're sitting down and having a conversation with their dads.
Yeah.
I think if it felt kind of cool to have another dad there and another kid there. I think it allowed for both of the sons to be at ease, and I guess the dads could bounce, ideas off of each other, or like maybe pose questions to their sons that maybe one of us wouldn't have thought of in the moment. And so that's what we did. That was the layout of the scenario.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, definitely the talk is more about sex, more than just about sex. It's about equipping the kids to navigate life with confidence, So you definitely want to set the foundation for healthy relationships and most importantly, decision making. So
Yes.
for me, it was a little different. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I've had the talk with my kids. I've had several talks with them about their decision making and the predicament that they were in, right? So, and I let them know from an early age, like, this is the consequence. Well, my main theme for my kids was about decision making and about consequences of your actions. And so this is the consequence of the actions that I made, right? Whether with my oldest kid, I had to fly him back and forth across the country, you know what I'm saying? And he didn't really see me that much, and my younger two kids, it was about, like we weren't in separate houses, you know what I'm saying? But I was like, this is the consequence of my bad decision making, you know what I'm saying? And these are the things that can happen. So my talks were more about making the right decisions, taking your time making decisions, understanding the consequences of your decisions. And I'll be honest, my younger two kids, I tried to keep them as young as much as possible or for as long as possible.
Right.
So to me, that was more important. That was just, to me, that was more important, was about their decision making and understanding what these decisions can entail.
Yeah.
So you said what age? Like I said, for me, I started very young. Not necessarily about sex, but mostly about relationships.
Okay. Yeah.
And what they mean, what they're for, the difference between, and this is just me personally. I feel like every man knows the difference as you become a man. You know the difference between a Jezebel and a wife.
That's as you get older, though.
Yeah, as you get older.
Yeah.
But my thing was I wanted my kids to recognize that quickly
At an early
age, right?
And I think that you having a conversation with them at an early age, that kind of sets the tone, depending on like what you shared with them. So like, are you sharing like values with them? Are you? I mean, a lot of times, like, in a big part of what I shared with them was about consent, like especially in today's world, like getting consent, and being respectful.
Right. And so for me, I think that for me, I feel like my kids grew up in this time and in this world. So there was a lot of things that didn't need to be said, because they already knew that, because that's how they grew up, about like consent. Like for us, we grew up in what they call, I don't know if I can say this or whatever, but ape R culture. You know what I'm saying? Ape R. You don't remember Pig Latin?
Yes, but very vaguely.
It's you take the first letter and you put it at the end. Take the first letter and you put it at the end. I'm not trying to get, kicked off the air.
Yeah.
But ape art culture, they call it that. That's basically what we grew up in. I grew up in that. You grew up in that.
Yeah.
And to where it wasn't about consent. Like the music that we were listening to, the Snoop Dogs, the Dog Pounds, the gangster rap, it was, get on your knees. It was, Tricks ain't but hoes and tricks. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how we grew up. That's the music. But they didn't grow up in that time. They grew up in a totally different time. So the music is different. The we call it emotional rap, the emo rap, and all that kind of stuff. Like it's very different. So, about consent and all that, like they grew up in that world. You know what I'm saying? They grew up in the super sensitive PC world.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, I had to like they didn't want to do anything without saying consent for anything. You know what I'm saying? So that just wasn't a major point for me. It was more about because like I said, they grew up in that world. So it was more about like their maturity, their understanding, like I'm gonna be honest, my kids didn't even want to, you know, touch women, you know what I'm saying, because of the co-consent thing. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You feel me?
Yeah.
Like, but as you said, as they get older and they start seeing these things and understanding, and you know, oh, I got 5 girlfriends type of conversation, you're just like, okay, okay, calm down. You know what I'm saying? And then as they get older, it's like, okay, dad, you know, I want to take a girl on a date. What should I do?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Then it evolves into those type of questions. And then, you know, as they get older and they ask those type of questions, and then we can tailor the conversations for that, you know? So I feel like starting from an early age and letting them know little things as they go on, and kind of shaping their thought process, so that when they do get older and they can ask those type of questions.
I definitely think it's like not a one-time conversation. It's an ongoing conversation. And like you said, you started early, which is great. Mm-hmm. And I think along the way, you pick and choose certain topics to touch on based on their maturity.
Yes. Like my older son, he was a hot mess.
Yeah. I mean, I remember, I don't want to embarrass my son, but I remember where he was like, had questions about like his private parts and why it was doing certain things that he didn't understand that it was doing. And this was like early, like preschool, kindergarten age, you know, like, and so like even having conversations about the male anatomy then is important. And I know that when girls get older, you have to have a conversation about their development and their hormones and how that changes and everything like that. So that's going to be an interesting one for me.
Good luck with that, brother. But you know, they have a mother, mm-hmm. you know, and so hopefully the mother explains some things, because she's gonna know more than you, because she has the equipment that you don't have, and she's, you know, started leaking at a certain age, and you know, yeah, you feel me? And so it's going to be interesting. Mm-hmm. So respect, safety, those are the top things that I was taught was about safety, mm-hmm. right? And so I'm very conflicted about safety.
Okay.
Because I was taught safety and I was given a box of condoms, right?
Who
my godfather.
He had to talk with you?
I don't even remember if he had to talk with me, but it was, I guess he did, but I was grown, but it was more of like, so there's this sentiment that, and I've heard this a lot, like, you're going to do what you're going to do anyway, so you might as well be safe while doing it. Mm-hmm. And so I'm very conflicted about that. And I'm anti that. I'm not going to tell you you're going to do what you're going to do anyway, so just be safe. Like, maybe that's naive of me or whatever, but I'm not preaching that, just because for me, that didn't work. That didn't work for me.
Okay.
Right. That actually gave me the permission to do the thing. And then boom, condom broke, and boom, here we go. You know what I'm saying? That was my first kid. So
for real, a condom broke?
The box of condoms that my godfather gave me and told me to be safe, he gave it to me. I used it. It broke, and I had my first kid. So for me, I think that's terrible advice.
Oh my gosh.
That's terrible advice. I never gave my kids no condoms. I never told them to use condoms. I told them to abstain. And I told them the reasons why. Okay. And I told them, I told them my story. Like, I had a box of condoms and I used the condoms and it broke, and you're here. So don't do that. You feel me?
Yeah.
Like, just abstain. And if you need help abstaining, then, you know, we can have that conversation.
Yeah.
But for me, that, in my mind, it gave me permission. Like, oh, I got a box of condoms, so now I could just use. And he gave me a big box. It was like 36 condoms in there. So I was like, yo, I'm trying to use all of these. You feel me? Like, I'm trying to use all of these on as many women as I can. Like, that was my thought process when he gave me the box of condoms.
I had the complete opposite.
Okay.
It was like, number one, you can't have a girlfriend till you're 18.
Okay.
And you can't have sex till you're married.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was like
straightforward. Huh?
Yeah, like straightforward.
Yeah.
Like, but no, like that was it. It was just like lay the Bible down on you and
yeah, and to me there has to be a happy medium, right? Like you just can't be like ignore it and be like, just don't do it. Here's a Bible and blah blah blah. Yeah. And on the other side, you just can't be like, well, you're gonna do it anyway. And he was a preacher too, which is crazy.
Okay. Oh, what?
Yeah, my godfather was a preacher. Right. And he was like, well, you're going to do what you're going to do anyway. So here's a box of condoms. And what I didn't know at the time was that they was the cheap condoms.
I was going to ask.
He gave me a big box of Costco condoms, basically.
Costco, good products, man.
Man, I don't know if it was Costco for real because this was the late 90s, early 2000s, but he gave me a box of cheap condoms. I found out later that they were cheap. I didn't know. I was 18 years old. Yeah. I didn't know. I thought condoms was condoms, but anyway,
man,
that's, you know what I'm saying? So for me, and I know how I felt when he gave me the box of condoms. I was like, yo, and me and my brother was in a brand new apartment. It was our first apartment together. We was like 18, 19. And we each had our own room. You feel me? We had a 2-bedroom apartment. We each had our own room. And he helped us move in and he gave me a box of condoms. I was like,
he gave you one box and your brother one box, or you guys had to share the box?
No, we didn't share a box. I know we didn't share a box. I know that because I had it in my room. I don't
guys
know.
Both had mason jars.
I don't know. I don't know what he gave my brother, to be honest with you, but I know I just remember what he gave me and how it made me feel like now that I have this box of condoms and from my father figure, mm-hmm. right? It's the only father figure that I really had, right? Because I never knew my real father. And so I'm like, and he was a preacher. So I'm like, this must be from God. I didn't say that, but that's how I felt like this is my permission to go out and have as much sex as I want to with as many people as I want to. I throw on these condoms and I'm good.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like that's how I felt at 18 years old. And so for me, I didn't preach that. Right. Like I'm anti that. I went the whole opposite way. Like I'm not giving you no condoms. I'm not telling you to go out and have sex. I'm telling you to do the opposite. Right. Don't do that. Because if you do and a condom breaks, and I told him like a condom can break, bro. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? Don't keep you from STDs and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Right.
See, all that needs to happen. All that talk needs to happen.
Yeah. Like that talk did happen.
Yeah.
And that's, by the grace of God, none of my kids they're in their 20s past where I was because I had my first kid at 20. Mm-hmm. And so my youngest is 19, but anyway, they passed that and they don't have any kids.
Right.
So, that's, to me, that's a win.
Yeah.
So that's just my take on it. Like, I'm not of the school of thought like, oh, the kids are going to do what they want to do anyway. So we might as well just equip them to be safe and blah, blah, blah. Like, nah.
So we have to have a conversation with our kids about this. And what I didn't share was, so I have a dad and a stepdad. I'm not going to out either one of them, but one of them threw the Bible at me. The other one went the complete opposite and was like, no, you got to do this, that, and the third. Like,
what you mean?
Instead of saying abstain or having a talk or like all of the important like things that we need to have with our kids, it was like, no, like, here, you could have the room. You need it was like,
so he was giving you permission.
Definitely
exactly.
Gave me permission.
And that's how I felt.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Even though my godfather was saying, and don't get me wrong, I love him dearly, or he's gone now, but I love him dearly and he taught me a lot about life and et cetera, et cetera. But this particular topic, I felt like he was giving me permission because, what I'm saying.
Why do you think at least for us growing up, like the talk was something that really just didn't happen, or didn't happen very well. Like it wasn't,
because it's hard for people to talk about, and especially back in the day, men didn't really weren't there a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like in the traditional sense, from our grandfather to our father's generation, the grandfather usually didn't tell our fathers about it. You know what I'm saying? So our fathers didn't
it was
really
taboo.
Right. It was taboo to talk about. And it was like the fathers were more about just going out to work. Right. And the mother took care of all the kids and blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? And obviously that's not every single, but I'm just talking about in a general sense.
Right.
And so from that generation, that's why our dads didn't really have the equip to talk about it, because they weren't really equipped to talk about it.
And they learned on their own too.
And they learned on their own, or from the homies, or from Playboy magazines, right? Yeah. And then from us, we learned from VHS pornos and stuff like that, and whatever our homies was doing. And now the kids, if they don't talk to their dads, now they have it on their phones. You know what I'm saying?
Or their friends, like.
Yeah, one of my sons was really into the online porno stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like at 11, 12 years old, like,
that's a whole nother topic and conversation that we need to have too, about porn. And
right. So what can you do as a father if you have a young kid now, and you're coming up on having to talk with them? And so there's a couple of schools of thought. I mean, we're in, about to be 2025. We're in a whole different spectrum where it's easy access. It's lots of misinformation out there. But as a father, the best thing I would say for young kids is to prepare in advance, right? Like write down the key points that you want to talk to your son or daughter about, and start early. Start with small conversations, like where do kids come from? Kids are in the belly, especially if you have older kids with younger siblings. They know that it's in the belly, and all that kind of stuff. That's kind of cool, and definitely approach it as a dialogue, not a lecture. But in my opinion, I feel like you have to make sure that it is in a space where they know that this is an important conversation, like how you did with the camping. And you sat them down. It was 2 dads and 2 kids, and like, yo, this is what we're talking about. Right. Like they're not gonna forget that, right? Because you made it a point to make it a conversation, right? It wasn't just like
intentional.
Like it wasn't just like a casual conversation, like, hey, it goes in there, right? And out come the baby. You can't just do it like that, which I have seen or I've heard of like even my friends are like, yeah, that's how my dad told me. He was just like, yo, it goes in there and out comes the baby. I was like, dang, that's it. So yeah.
I think we got to touch on too, like values, morals, and all that stuff. Us being men of God, like we're gonna instill certain values in our kids. And like I said, one of my dads sat me down and threw the Bible at me. But it can't just be that. It has to, we have to sit them down. If you're the type of person that's going to instill certain values, we are going to instill certain values in our kids, and that comes from the Bible. So, what does the Bible say about sex in general? What does the Bible say?
You tell me.
Oh, well, the Bible says that sex, number one, it says sex is good, and it should be enjoyed between a man and a woman when you're married.
Okay.
Right? I did not wait until I was married.
Okay.
Did you wait?
Obviously not. I just told you the story about how I got my first kid.
Yeah.
So obviously not.
But I think it's important to have that conversation, just because. And I know everybody's not going to feel the same way as we do about this. But I think it's important to have the conversation, and to ultimately give them the choice. Like, we're called to train up our children, so we instill these values in them. But at the end of the day, like your godfather did say, you're going to do what you're going to do. Yes, our kids are going to do what we're going to do, but our job is to first instill these core values in them.
Right. To teach them what to do.
Yes.
Right. So that when they go old, they will not depart. Right. So that's why I'm so strongly against that mindset, like, oh, they're going to do what they're going to do, so I'm just going to equip them anyway to be safe. Right. I'm strongly against that, because as I can only speak from my experience and people that I know, right? Like, when you're given the keys, you know what I'm saying, to the car, you're going to drive it. Like, really plain and simple.
Right.
If I got to go steal the keys to the car, then like I know that I'm being wrong because I have to go steal the keys to the car.
Right.
Right. But if you give me the keys to the car and just say, don't crash it, then that's just permission to drive the car.
Okay. So
Right?
the keys are the condoms in this scenario.
Correct. The keys are the condoms in this scenario. Right?
So when it talks about being safe, when we talk about being safe, and this is outside of the core values, right? But when we talk about being safe, because I did have the conversation about being safe, because the father that I sat down and had the conversation, we don't have the same core values, and that's fine.
Okay.
But we had a conversation about being safe.
Okay.
And so I still think that's important. We didn't give them condoms, but we gave them tools to use as far as like knowledge wise, as to like, if you were to decide to, have sex, like, make sure you protect yourself. And we explain the why.
Right. And so, what was your why?
Protecting yourself?
Yeah, like, what was your why?
The why was against like STDs, diseases, getting someone pregnant. Like, those were the whys of why you would use protection. Right. And being safe.
And see, my argument to that would be the greatest protection is to abstain.
Yeah.
Like,
I agree.
That's the protection. Like, the condom really can't protect you, because STDs can slip through the condoms and condoms can break.
Yes.
Especially when, never mind, let me not say that. Let's keep going. So, in my opinion, like, that's not protection. That's just my opinion, but that's not protection, right? Like, you're still putting yourself at risk. You're still, driving a Ferrari pretty fast down a pedestrian street,
right.
A residential street. That's how I look at it. Like, you're driving a Ferrari down a residential street. So, you can go out unscathed, but it's lots of risks.
Lots of risks. Yeah.
Lots of risks. You know what I'm saying?
You ain't lying.
So that's how we can look at it. But as we were saying before, consider the maturity level of your kid. Cultural values, religious values. Like you said, we're both men and guys, so we have a different perspective than maybe the outside, not maybe, but the outside world. And that's what I say, I have a very strong perspective in the other way, because I was told something totally different that, like I said, I didn't tell my kids. And I vowed that I wouldn't tell my kids because of my experience.
Right.
Right. So, we know that no parent feels 100% ready to speak about these things, but just know that they're going to hear these things in school,
Internet.
Like, do you even remember when your sex ed class was? Is DJ going to be doing sex ed? Like, he's in what, seventh grade?
Seventh grade.
That's about the time, right?
That is the time we're opting out.
Oh, you're opting out. You can opt out.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're opting out.
Now, how does he feel about opting out? Or does he know?
I don't think actually he does know.
How does he feel about that?
Yeah, he doesn't
care.
We have such a good line of communication. We talk about this stuff all the time. Like, he doesn't care.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And so what does his mother say about that?
She agrees. 100%.
To opt out?
Yep. Yeah.
Interesting. Do you feel like he will be missing anything? Like the technical, because in those classes they do teach you like the anatomy, they have the charts and the blah blah blah. Like, do you feel like he's missing anything?
No, I have the charts at home.
You got the charts at the
I got it all.
You got the skeleton and everything, huh?
For real, I do.
You got the skeleton?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Not the live skeleton, but I literally have diagrams of the entire body.
Okay.
I kept it. I actually had it for years. As literally as a teaching tool. And so like I already got it locked and loaded.
Okay. Well, you on top of it then. You on top of it. So what was your decision for opting out? Like, what made you say, you know what, I'm a better teacher than the school, I'm not gonna do that? Or is that why? Because you felt like you were better teacher than the school?
No, not well. I think that in today's society, educational system, they're teaching a little bit more than just the human anatomy and how and the birds and the bees and how kids are how kids are born. They are teaching more stuff about gender and stuff like that. So we're going to have those conversations with him.
Right.
And I'm not going to have, a complete stranger have that conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that is something that parents have to deal with a little bit more nowadays, is the whole gender conversation. And, as a parent, you have to, guard your kids' gates, as much as possible. Because there's so much information and misinformation floating around there about, genders. And I heard there's 52 genders. Then I heard there's 57 genders. And I was like, what? So I started looking them up and they were just like ridiculous. Like, I was like, yo, who sits there? Well, my question is, who sits there and makes up this stuff?
People who feel that they are that gender.
Yeah, but how did they determine that? Like, how did you determine that you are the 47th gender?
Literally, like, that's how they feel. Like,
but like, where did this come from? Like, where did all these different genders, like, how did we get from 2 to like 52?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I do not know.
Okay.
I do not.
Okay.
I do not know. I also do not know why people feel like, you know what, I'm a cat today.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Like, you can say that you're a cat, and so they have to give you cat litter and set it outside the classroom.
Wait, for real?
Yeah. That was something that I read, and I know that's probably an extreme case or whatever, but yeah, that the kids can feel like, so basically I can just say, I feel like whatever, I feel like a plant. And so you need to water me, You know what I'm saying? Like I need plant food. like
I'm trying not to laugh.
I'm laughing.
I'm trying. I want to be
ridiculous.
I'm trying because I want to be respectful to
Respectful
everybody.
of what?
To everybody, to every just
no, we can't be respectful of nonsense. We can't be respectful.
I'm being respectful.
I'm not gonna. We can't. I'm respectful of the person, but I'm not respectful of the nonsense. Right? Like you can't come up to me, look me in my eye, and tell me that you're a cat. The fact that you're telling me that you're a cat already lets me know that you're not a cat because cats can't speak, sir.
Garfield did.
That's a cartoon though. that's somebody drew. You feel what I'm saying? Like cats can't speak. Period. Point blank. God gave you language. He didn't give cats language. He gave them meows.
They meow. That's a language. Meow.
That's not a language. It's not a language. It's not a language.
Hey, this is going
so that's
really
what I'm saying.
quick.
Like I can respect you as a image bearer of God, right? But I can't respect you if you deny your image bearing of God and claim that you're something that you're not, right? Like you can't just do whatever you want to do. You just can't. Like that's not like that's not like I can't just say that I'm a dog now and only speaking woof woof. You feel me? Like I like my bill collectors are not going to accept that I am now a dog and I no longer owe T-Mobile any more money because dogs can't speak on the phone.
Do you know that for a fact? You might pose a great debate. I might go to T-Mobile today and be like,
yo, I'm a dog. Don't charge me anything because dogs can't speak on the phone. You feel what I'm saying? So,
if that's the case,
exactly. That's why we're saying this because we know it's not the case. We know it's ridiculousness. We know it's foolishness. We know that it's of the devil. We know that it's of the evil one because that is not of God at all. So that's why I said I can't respect the foolishness. I can't respect that. Right. I can respect the person, right, as an image bearer of God, because we were all created in his image, male and female. He created them, man, male and female. He later called her Eve, right? So is what it is. Call it how you see it. We can go all the way to the biology.
I saw how you
go to the atoms.
You cleared up your the them part, and you like created them, and then you elaborated.
Yeah, he created them, male and female. He called them man. He later called her Eve, right? Okay, so it's really simple, man. Like this has been going on since the dawn of time, and then all of a sudden in the 2000s, now we got all these different genders. Like, where has this been for all of the years?
I don't know. Like there's a change in the world.
No,
there's change in the world.
There's nothing new under the sun. Everything's the same.
Some people don't like change.
Everything's the same. I love change. I love change. Like it's my goal to learn new things every day. Change my thinking, change my thoughts, renew my mind, right? But just because I'm now learning it doesn't mean that it's new.
What do you mean?
It's new for me, but that doesn't mean that it's new in the earth, right? Yeah. Like everybody thinks that we're so advanced. Like, yo, dog, like I just saw Gladiator 2. How did they create those coliseums? They had no helicopters.
Wait, hold on.
No cranes.
You saw Gladiator 2?
I did.
All right, don't spoil anything, bro.
I'm not spoiling anything. I'm not spoiling anything.
All
like
right.
You know that Gladiator takes place in the Coliseum, right?
I know that part, but don't say anything else.
That's all I'm saying. I'm going totally different.
All right.
It's not a spoiler alert. Like we all know that it took place in the Coliseum. Like that's what the Gladiator is.
Yes.
In the Coliseum. Okay. So my question is, or my statement was, how did they make the Coliseum? How did they make the Coliseum? Right?
Oh, like
back then, without any cranes, without any helicopters, without any scaffolding and all this other kind of stuff that we have now. You feel me? They've been doing that for centuries, is what I'm saying. Like it may be new to me,
Like building stuff, you mean?
like building stuff and making stuff and doing things that we do now, right? They just may have done it in a different way. They was heating up food back then. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we got a faster way of doing it with a microwave, but they was heating up food back then. They were doing all the same things that we're doing now. They were doing back then. It may have just taken them longer, but they were doing it. So there's nothing new. So it may be new to me, maybe new to you, but there's nothing new.
So what are you saying? Like, how does this translate to the
I'm saying,
the 52 new
all I'm saying is that there's nothing new under the sun. That was my original statement, that there's nothing new under the sun. And you were saying that I don't like learning something new.
I didn't say that.
I was saying that I like learning new stuff.
No, I said people don't like change. Some people don't like
people don't like change, but I don't think that that's a real change. That's just people saying stuff because they're bored. Because they got too much free time. We have too much convenience. Like I said, it used to take a long time to do a lot of the stuff that we do now. Like being able to have hot food and a hot shower and just those things like would have taken like 4 or 5 servants back in the day. Like we live like kings, how the kings used to back in the day.
Yeah.
You feel me?
I'm just saying that you asked the question, how are there 52 when we only had 2?
Yes.
And my answer to that is I do not know.
Okay. Well, I don't know either.
I really
don't know either.
I don't know. And
I don't think that that's for us to decide because like I don't even care, to be honest with you. Like I just think it's fascinating that I think that's fascinating that people have come up with all these stuff. And when I started reading what the genders are and what they mean, I was like, this is nonsense. This is nonsense.
He is educating himself, so
because I want to know, what they are spewing, right? Which is why I don't shy away from positions that are opposite to mine, because I want to know what you know. I want to know what the people at Fox News are saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to know what kind of stuff that people are being inundated with, so that I can combat it and so that I can research it and I can know when somebody says stuff like that to me that's just ridiculous or outlandish. I can have something that I've already studied. Like, it's not new to me what they're learning. And I'm like, okay, I know where you got that from.
I think the biggest thing, and I don't want to get too much off topic, is just like having an open mind, but then also being a free thinker, like just thinking for yourself and not taking everything as like, all right, well, Fox News said it. It's 1,000% true.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So that's why when stuff is going on, I always flip through all the channels. I flip through CNN. I flip through Fox. I flip through whatever else, BBC, and I see what they're all saying. And sometimes they're saying the same things from different perspectives.
And sometimes they contradict each other completely.
And you can see the bias on each end.
Oh yeah.
Right. And so
that's why I stopped watching the news.
Yeah, I mean, I don't watch it a lot, but we just had the election and all that kind of stuff, and there's different things coming out. So when I do watch it, or when I do go through a news cycle or whatever, I try to see it from all angles. Now, bringing it back to what we're talking about with the kids and speaking on the birds and the bees, I think that's also bringing it from a holistic thing. Like, I'm very against condoms and all that kind of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But also, I'm not ignorant to it, right? Like, I know, like, okay, these are what condoms are designed to do. You know what I'm saying? This is what birth control is designed. And don't even get me started on Plan B. Like, there's a song by a young lady that's called Plan B, where she raps about letting a dude nut in her and then going the next morning and getting a Plan B. Like, that's her contraception. That's her being safe. Like, that's what it's evolved to. Like, they're not even using condoms. They're just going straight to Plan B. Right.
And this is why, like, we have to, like you say, guard our kids' gates.
Got to guard their gates,
especially with influential things like music, like media in general.
right?
Like if that's what's being played on the air into the ears of our young babes
and played on YouTube,
kids. Played on YouTube, yeah.
Played on YouTube, yeah. So we all know it's not a one and done situation. This is an ongoing fight. This is an ongoing fight for our kids' lives. You know,
100%.
a fight for you know, good and evil. A fight for what's right. A fight for you know, making sure that your kids are equipped with the knowledge and the wisdom, not just the knowledge, but the wisdom that goes behind the knowledge. Because they see a lot of stuff. They see a lot of stuff on the TV. They see a lot of stuff at school. They see a lot of stuff on YouTube and Snapchat and all the social medias. That's just outlandish and crazy. And unfortunately, the outlandish and crazy things are what attracts people, you know, which has the most views.
Yeah.
Like when people are doing the most outlandish things, right? And we look at it as a norm.
Yeah.
You know, when it's not the norm. Like,
yeah, we definitely have to make sure that they have a good understanding.
Right.
Good understanding. Make sure that we instill whatever core values you want your kids to have in them, instill that in them. Respect is huge.
Respect is always
absolutely huge.
Right. So we just want to make sure that we're having these conversations so that it can spark, you know, the conversation that you have with your kids and with your young ones. If you haven't had that conversation, if you have had it, maybe go back to it and see how they're doing.
Yeah.
Right. See how they are faring. Like, what things are they hearing from their friends, from the new things that they've learned, you know what I'm saying, since the conversation or after the conversation or before the conversation. Just being able to have that open dialogue. And I think that that's a running theme that we have on this show. Is just about, you know, it's really just about having that open dialogue with your kids from the get-go and being as present as possible and letting them, you know, have that way to talk to you.
Yeah.
Right. Have that open line of communication to talk to you.
That's huge. If a kid knows that they can come and talk to you and not feel judged, not be scared to do it, because you've like openly displayed, like, you know, welcome those type of conversations and not guilted them and made them feel comfortable, then they're gonna come and talk to you about anything and everything. And that as parents, that's what we want.
That's the goal. That's the goal.
We don't want the streets raising them. We
right.
want. Or the internet,
or that's the new streets.
Yeah, or their friends who have older siblings.
That's true.
Yeah.
That too. Yeah, we don't want these social media streets raising our kids.
Yeah,
you feel me? So, but yeah, man, you got anything else for today? Anything to leave with the people?
Man, just I would just say, do the best that you can. Do the best that you can. There's
and then do better than that.
There's no, you know, perfect blueprint. Every child is different. They learn differently. Their personalities are differently. So you just got to figure out what it is that your kid is going to need to be receptive to hearing the talk.
The talk. So share your stories with us. Let us know what is a good way to be able to share this type of information with your kids, with your sons, with your daughters. And if you got any good tips, let us know. This has been Fathers Handling Business, the talk.
Yes.
Dun, 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 the talk. The birds and the bees. Until next time. Well, holla at y'all. Y'all have a good day.
Peace.